Hey, this is Double R. And I wanted to tell you that Anchor by Spotify is a great and easy way to make a podcast with everything you need and all in one place. Anchor has the tools to allow you to record, edit your podcast straight from your phone or your computer. When hosting with Anchor, you can distribute your podcast to all listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Best of all, it's totally free. So go down the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. This is the Let's Roll Podcast with your host, Double R. Wow, I feel dumb. I had myself on mute and started to do my intro. So let's do that again. This is the Let's Roll Podcast with your host, Double R. What's up, everybody? It's your host at Rosenmost, Double R, and this is the Let's Roll Podcast. On today's episode, we're going to talk about Teens and Friends. Teens and Friends was an organization that provided a monthly dance and outings, not just a dance, but outings to people with disabilities and mentally challenged. We're going to talk about that and much more right after this. So I want to talk about Teens and Friends, and as I said in the intro, Teens and Friends was an organization that put on a monthly dance. Now they put on a monthly dance, but also with other outings and stuff. But I'm mainly going to talk about the monthly dance because how I got involved was being a DJ, a mobile DJ, as everybody knows and I have talked about before. So my mom was, or still is, but was a quilter at the time, and she was part of a quilting group. When in that quilting group, she had a friend that had a daughter that was mentally challenged, and they, in their conversation, they talked about how they would have this monthly dance that they went to for their daughter to go to have an outing and have something to do every month. And so this one day, my mom's friend came to her and said, "Hey, we need a DJ for the monthly dance. The DJ that we had that was helping us out took our because they had their own equipment. They just needed somebody to come and run and play music, and they were even set up to that they would provide the equipment, the music, even a playlist for the person to play the music, etc. And the person that was doing it was volunteering, so they weren't getting paid to do this monthly dance. They just came in voluntarily to do this dance. And so when they approached my mom about it, they basically said that the guy or the person that was doing the DJing at the time took off with all of their equipment, and they can't find him, and they hadn't heard from him. And the dance was coming up, and they needed someone to come and play. Well, they knew because of conversations they had between them that I was a DJ, and so they asked my mom if she would ask me if I would be willing to go do it. Now, I've said this in the past. Growing up, I really didn't like being around other people that had disabilities. Don't ask me why. I was young, dumb. I don't know. I kind of jokingly always said that I wanted to be the only one, and that's kind of not really my personality, but that was kind of a joke that I wanted to be the only one with a disability in the room. And want anybody else taking my spotlight away, which is dumb to even say, but that's probably what my thinking was back then. But when my mom came to me and said, "Hey, they need help with this dance. Are you willing to do it?" And I said, "Well, I don't really want to do it, but I can't do it for free. So if they're willing to pay me something, I'll come do it." I said, "I won't charge them what I normally charge anybody, but I need something, anything." So we got in contact, or I got in contact with the lady that ran the organization, that basically owned it, uh, but she ran it. And anyway, long story short, we worked out a price. So instead of getting like $300 to $400 a month for this one dance, because I usually charge about $100 an hour, I was getting like 150 for the dance every month. But the first dance I did, there was also another stipulation. I would come and do the dance this one time, and if I like it, I would keep coming back. If I liked doing it, if I didn't like doing it, I wouldn't come back. Now, the difference between me and this volunteer is, I did this for part time for a living. So I've done all kinds of dances. I've done all kinds of events, whatnot. So I'm coming in as a real DJ versus people that are volunteering. I'm not saying none of them were not real DJs, but from what I understood, most of them were not DJs. They were just back there playing the music. Well, I come in with my equipment, and they hand me a list of music to play. And they said, these are must plays. And I kind of looked at the list, and I'm like, man, a lot of these songs are really, really old. Now, the event, like I said, were for disabled and mentally challenged people or kids. But when I say kids, I don't mean like little kids. It could range anywhere from, we'll say, I think the lowest age in there was probably maybe 14, 15. And then it went on, then the ages went all the way up to even, 70s or 80s. Now, the main group was probably anywhere from being a teenager to being a young adult, maybe into their 30s. There was a few older, but not not a lot. So I'm looking at those lists, and I'm not saying that the people that are hearing this dance wouldn't listen to these songs, but there was not hardly anything that was modern of that time. And this was in the 90s, like late 90s. So I'm good with playlists. That's fine. You can give me a playlist, set list, whatever. But I'm not going to totally stick to it because, and when I say I'm not going to totally stick to it, I'm not going to just play the songs back to back, back to back. So what I did was I would mix some of what I thought they would like into what they told me to play. And it worked out beautifully. Like when a newer song came on, and I call them kids, again, they're not kids, but I'm calling them kids. When those songs came out, man, them kids just went crazy. They were like, oh man, it was almost like they were like realizing that I'm playing something that they hear on the radio, and they recognized and they enjoyed and blah blah. So I was a big hit, big success that night. It was great. So after I get done, I get a letter from the lady that ran it, and she tells me, which I wish I still had the letter, but the letter was praising me in the first part of it, and then it would not praise me in the next part, and then praise me again. So it was kind of a back and forth letter about things that I did great, but things that they wanted me to improve on or do better or whatever in their eyes. And it really had to do with the music. Like I didn't play a lot that was on that list, but they wanted more of that list played. And my attitude was like, if those kids are having fun, what does it matter what's being played? As long as I'm not playing anything that's really inappropriate or bad, it shouldn't matter. So who cares? They having fun, I'm having fun, blah blah. Well, end up happening was I basically became their DJ. I agreed to do it for the same price every month. And I believe, I'm not positive on this, but I believe I did it for at least a year and a half, if not two, but I believe a year and a half. And I stayed DJing that dance, and I went on one, um, we'll say, outing with him. We went to the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. I did that with him, and then I eventually became a board member. And so that was my how I got involved, what I did for him. We had nicknames for some of the people or the kids that were there. And had one that we kind of called Elvis because all he wanted to hear was Elvis. We had one we called Bunny Rabbit because he would hop everywhere, like literally hop like a bunny rabbit. Had this one guy that would just come up to the speaker and like cup his ear, like to listen to what's coming out of the speaker, but he's right by the speaker. And I'm like, Jesus, are you sure you can hear that? um, and I enjoyed my time with it. I'm sad that it ended up ending and they sold the name and the organization. But I'm going to take a break. When I come back, I'm going to get into the history that I know of it and how it was started and why it was started. And we'll do that right after this. So Teens and Friends was originally started by a lady, I believe, named Joanne. I could have that wrong. I'm sure whoever listens to this that knows about the organization will tell me. But I believe it was Joanne. And Joanne had a son that was mentally challenged. And she started the organization to give her son an outlet and be able to bring other people that he could relate to together, and they would have different events and outings and stuff like that. So that's how it was originally came together, from what I understood. And she ran the organization for the longest time. She also was the DJ for their monthly dances for a long time. And when I came into it, not too long before I came into it, is when she started getting other people to volunteer to play the music. And like I said in the previous segment, uh, that they lost that equipment because the person that volunteered just took off with it and just basically stole it from this organization. So the way they would put on the events and monthly dances is by donation, and they would go out to the community, and they also they're what they would call them clients, but I call them the kids or the people that would come to these events and stuff. Some of them came from group homes, and these group homes, they were the people in these group homes would have uh, some money that they could use to go and do things. So they would pay for tickets to come to the dance. Also, they would get Teens and Friends would go out and get sponsors or people that would donate either money or 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 uh, or like product. Like for example, they would go somewhere like Papa John's Pizza and get pizzas for the evening, or they would go somewhere where they can get cookies and get cookies, and they would find different people in businesses that would either donate something like a product or whatever for the event, or they would donate money to help put on the event. So they were a nonprofit organization. And then my mom's friend that I told you about in the previous segment, um, her daughter was one of the kids that went to the dances. And then her family, her other daughters, were on the board, and so was my mom's friend on the board. So they were on the board they were already on the board when I came along. And So that's how this organization was started. I don't remember when it was started, but it had been established for a while before I came along, and that's how and why it was started. And once I came along, like I said, I DJed for about a year, and then the following year, me and my mom, well, my mom's friend took over as president, and basically the person that owned it, if you want to say it like that, took over from Joanne because Joanne got to a point where she couldn't do it anymore. And it wasn't too long after I took over DJing that Joanne was kind of gone, and um, so my mom's friend took over, and then eventually me and my mom got on the board, and I even had my boss at the time. She even became a board member, and we were board members for, I'm gonna say, at least 6 months before we all decided, or at least my mom's friend decided, the one that was ahead of the organization, she decided that it was too much for her to even do, and her daughters really didn't want to take it over because they didn't have time to run it. And me and my mom thought about taking it over and doing it, but we were kind of not encouraged by my dad to do it because he saw too much liability, which in hindsight, everything has liability. So why should that scare me off from doing something? But again, that's my dad being cautious about something. So we didn't do it. So the organization ended up being sold, and it transferred to another organization that was similar to what Teens and Friends was doing, and now Teens and Friends is just no more. And but that's the history of it. That's kind of how it was started, why it was started, where I came along, when I came in, being a board member, and I'm going to take a break because I want to talk about some of the experiences I had at the events and at the dances that that I have fond memories of, and I'll do that right after this. So I wanted to talk about the some of the fond memories and experiences I had doing Teens and Friends, and it was fun because I became like a real celebrity because of me DJing these monthly dances that I did. And I would be out in public somewhere else and have some of the clients or kids, see me out in the real world and come up, oh, hey, it's a DJ, and come up and say hi to me. And some would love on me, and they were always excited to see me. And even though it kind of weirded me out when it was happening, but looking back on it now, I kind of enjoyed it and liked it, and it cherished those moments. Um, One of the biggest memories, and I'm not sure if I talked about this in another episode, but I'm sure I did. Um, One of the biggest memories was when I had my car wreck that I actually have had an episode on. um, it put me out of commission for a little while, and I needed to, stay at home and rest and heal and all that. So for about 2 months, I had my brother and a friend go and do the music for me. They knew how to run my equipment and everything, and they got it all taken care of. And I remember the first time I came back. I think it was like 3 months that, or at least 2 months that I hadn't been there. And on that third month, I came back. But what was fun about this was my brother and my friend went ahead of time to set everything up, get it going. And then I eventually showed up a little bit later. And when I came in, I mean, everybody in that gym. Oh, and that's another thing, by the way. the events or the dances were held at a church gym every month, the same location. So the church supported supported it by giving access to the gym for them to have the dance. But yeah, I came in and everybody in that gym just turned around and cheered and couldn't believe I was back. And I was so high on pain meds that I almost forgot how to do what I needed to do, but it worked out. But the feeling of getting that response coming into the gym was amazing, and something I will cherish because it was like, oh man, they really did miss me. And I jokingly turned to my brother and my friends like, did y'all really suck my bad? But yeah, that's one memory. Of course, I mentioned some of the kids and how we gave them nicknames and stuff. And uh, I remember this other memory was they were having uh, Turbo was a mascot of the Houston Rockets, and so Turbo and a couple of Rocket dancers, I think, came uh, to one of the dances to perform and everything. And so they came and I played for about 30 minutes or so, and then I kind of stopped, and then Turbo came out and did his thing, and that was kind of cool to watch and check out. And he signed autographs and stuff like that, and then he left. Well, what was funny is I had one of my friends with me, and and you know who well, you know him because he's been on an episode. T Rich or TT, my friend, was with me, and he was sitting at the table at in the DJ booth, and the kids mistakenly thought he was a Rockets player, and at the time I think it was Tracy McGrady that was the player, and my friend, which I couldn't believe he was doing it, he was signing autographs as Tracy McGrady. And I'm like, that's just cruel because they're going to find out that's not really you. But that's kind of a funny memory that I remember. But um, I remember, there was just certain people that would come up and ask for certain music almost every single time. Um, and just to watch them have fun and enjoy the music I was playing and really fill up the dance floor is for me what I enjoy the most. I enjoy people that are enjoying what I'm doing and what music I'm playing, and just watching them have fun is gratifying and satisfying and brings me even joy to see that because I must be doing something right if the dance floor is filled. But that's a brief little thing about Teens of Friends. I really wanted to bring on a guest, and that was also involved with the organization, but unfortunately, not able to work that out. And so wanted to get this episode out, and it's something that I enjoy doing. I wish there was still something. Well, there is, but I just wish I was still a part of something like that. That because it was fun to do every month. Uh, Even though I started off kind of not wanting to do it, and even when went and showed up the first time and was setting up, and I'm kind of looking around, going, "Oh man, I don't know." But by the end of the night, I was like, "Yeah, this is fun. Let's keep doing this." So anyway, with that being said, the next episode that's coming out will be I Want to Work again. I am bringing in a special guest for that one, and it will be my very first boss that I had at a real job, and we're going to discuss our experiences of working together, uh, because of the challenges of having a disability and stuff like that. So look forward to that. That is I Want to Work episode coming out next. And also make sure that you go to the Let's Roll Podcast.com. And as always, until next time, let's roll.
Hey, this is Paula, and you're listening to the Let's Roll podcast. with host Double R. Make sure you're following us on all of our social media. Find links in the description below or at theletsrollpodcast.com.